Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Dave and Sam for a very special discussion. This is, of course, the Andor trailer discussion. And firstly, thank you to everyone for your patience. We had a couple of technical issues, all three of us with our own computers, which is a lovely predicament for once, rather than just one. So thank you all for waiting a little bit later. But as I said, we are here to discuss this video. And I said I'm joined by you all again. It's been a while. Dave, I say you're on like every week with us for about 2 months, and I was just thinking, I was like, when was this time I had Dave on a video? So we have Dave back, we have Sam back. Sam's repping our merch, by the way, which took me by surprise when he announced it. Very much appreciate that. But how are we all doing tonight, guys?
Yeah, it's good to see. It has been quite a while since I've been on. I was just waiting for the invite, really. That's all I do is hang about waiting to be asked. But no, it's been good. And today the trailer landed and stuff with dates and things of what we're going to get. So there's been some ups and downs, but more ups with those downs. So I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm good too. There's been, lots of things going on. Some Star Wars stuff, some exciting Star Wars stuff. I mean, the main thing I'd say is that George, that beautiful Obi-Wan Kenobi poster on the wall right there.
It is stunning, isn't it?
It just fits right in.
There you go.
Oh.
That's for people curious about what that poster is in the middle. But that is going to get signed by Ewan in October, presume he doesn't cancel an event. But no, I appreciate that. That I think did that happen just after I think the poster arrived like the week the finale came, and I had the most intense weekend of reorganizing posters on the wall space because I've got very specific OCD, and I just had to. I'm just looking around. I had to like redo the entire wall because my 4, 5, and 6 posters are smaller. Kenobi's larger. 3's, everything's in sync. Paranoia over.
Yeah, I had a similar issue, except for it wasn't anything like that. It was literally to put the Pokemon the Movie 2000 poster up in between The Last Crusade and the Avengers, and I mean Avengers with Emma Peel and John Steed, and slot that right in. So it looks a mess in terms of style and genre, but for me, it's just a perfect amalgamation of what is going on in here. So.
No, excellent. We love the poster talk. Dave's laughing. He's having poster trouble, but he does have a lot of incredible merch behind him, as he always does. We could rant about the Black Series. I'm sure if Phil was here, he'd join in. But that's a discussion for another time. Good luck to everyone buying cardboard covers. You'll never know what you're buying on the inside. But toy talk aside, we'll probably actually get into some more because I actually have more merch to rep. I have a Cassian pop from San Diego. Someone's crying that I've got it upside down as well, which is funnier. Aside from that, everybody at home, as I said, we want to hear from you. So please do comment your thoughts on Andor. Of course, this is the trailer, poster, release that came out tonight. We'll be discussing those. And if you're a fan of Star Wars, you're a fan of Cassian Andor, you're a fan of Rogue One, you're a fan of that era or anything, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Why? Because we've got 12 episodes of Andor series starting on September the 21st. And there's a lot more than Andor coming in September. One of the most stacked ending, I don't know what you'd call it, end of year TV season. I don't know what the hell we call it.
Quarter four. I don't know. There's
it's just you got what Lord of the Rings, you got Game of Thrones, you got Star Wars. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be Marvel, She-Hulk. There's so much stuff happening. So if you're a fan of TV, all that sort of stuff, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We do appreciate your support with that. And again, consider hitting that like button and do comment if you're watching this later. You're not live. We're always interested to hear your thoughts on, especially Star Wars stuff, especially trailers. So please do that. And if you want to find out where you can buy the lovely merch, like what Sam's repping and what I'm wearing on the hat, you can find that on the description. You can go to Redbubble. Cinema Savvy link is in that description below. So do have a look on there. It really just helps support the channel. It helps us keep our running costs. And if you just want to find us to find out about what videos we're going to talk about, you can get us on Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinema savvy. And that is all the intro and socials. I already feel burnout. It's only 10:30.
No, well, I'm going to say I'm not being paid for this, but it feels great. No. It's comfortable. I'm enjoying wrapping it. So, take my word for it or not. But I'd say, go get it.
No, 100%. And with that, whilst I just retweet the post to my Twitter, I'm not being rude. I am actually doing this for social media purposes. Tate is currently on holiday. He will be returning in mid-August. But there's a lot of things happening on the channel. Obviously, the Steven Spielberg stuff. I feel like I'm doing an outro. I'm not. I'm just stalling for time whilst we get ready to talk about Andor. But that's an even better segue because we haven't made a plan for tonight. We're all doing this on the cuff. Just quickly to both of you, I'll go Dave first. Your thoughts on Rogue One and when they announced we'll have an Andor series of everyone in Rogue One to have a series about?
Rogue One for me, I think we said it when you did the countdown and your top 10 when you did the top 10 Star Wars movies, top 11 Star Wars movies. That for me, Rogue One was easily enough saga worthy. I've always thought that since I saw it, I was blown away when I saw it. Not my expectations weren't exactly not high, but it was a new movie and it was out of the Skywalker saga. Said, okay, I'm not quite sure what we're going to be getting. I left that with jaw agape. Like I've just seen maybe some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. To then be given an Andor series, I was like, oh, okay, I guess if we're going to see the characters. But the more and more I've seen of this, the more and more intrigued I'm getting, the more excited I'm getting. This trailer just blew my little hippie noodle tonight when I saw it. So I can't wait to get into it because, yeah, I'm really excited now for a series I was not bothered about at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page. Rogue One is my favorite Disney era Star Wars film thus far. Really enjoyed that at the time. I think some of the criticism is fair, and mostly because of the characters but I think there's lots of films that can introduce characters, make you feel emotionally connected somewhat, and then spoiler alert, kill them all off. But I think it was kind of bold in a way to do that, especially so early in Disney's run of having the Star Wars name. So I think, yeah, I was also surprised when Andor was the focus. I mean, part of me really thought that if anyone was going to, have a series, it would be Jyn Erso. But I think Andor will have, more to actually offer in terms of story and actually link to the rest of the galaxy. And we see that, and we'll talk a bit more after, but we see that with the characters that are going to be in this, and kind of like see actually his role, because obviously he was connected. So I'm really intrigued. And this trailer, I wasn't expecting the trailer today until I got told this morning. So I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. A surprise to be sure, but welcome on. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it.
No, definitely, it's great to get you both on again. Obviously, anyone that's not watching at home, we did a lot of Kenobi stuff. There's a link in the description actually to all of our Star Wars stuff in May. We had a whole Star Wars month, and this was going to be, I think Twitter were calling it Andor August. Remember, we used to have like Star Wars Wednesdays or Force Friday. They were calling it Andor August, and obviously that was ripped from our throats this morning. August the 1st, by the way, to premiere on August the 31st. So no, it's September the 21st. And I don't mind just getting into it very quickly. 3 episodes on the 21st September. So it's, in theory, it's being delayed 2 weeks. That's all. It's 2 extra weeks, 1 more episode at the start. It's not that big of a deal. 2 weeks delay is in the ending of the series, not when it's going to start, for anyone that wants to get smart. If I'm going to be ready to get into a Disney Plus conversation, but Lord of the Rings is starting on the 2nd of September. Game of Thrones is starting the 24th of August, or like something like that, which are two of the big fantasy genres. Andor would have been slap bang in the middle, whilst Marvel's She-Hulk premieres, I think, the 17th. So you'd have had like 4 big playing franchises all airing at the same time. And they still will be when Andor debuts now, but it's not going to be... You know how Miss Marvel sort of got massacred because she came in halfway through Kenobi? Not at the end, halfway. I feel like they've moved Andor to protect She-Hulk a little bit. Again, I don't want to get into a conversation on She-Hulk. They've released a clip today. Make of the CGI what you will, and I'll leave it there because there's still a few weeks to sort it. But I think Andor's going to be safe, because I'm going to say that before we play the trailer, I have been very surprised at the welcome to this trailer today. I thought this was the Star Wars show that no one cared about. And I know we've all kind of alluded to, Andor to get a TV series when they announced it. But it's kind of interesting. There's more story to tell with him, and everything we've seen feels like this. I'm not saying this isn't an Andor series. Obviously, this feels like the most broad the galaxy is going to have been of any of the Star Wars shows so far, which to me is so exciting, because we're going to talk about the Imperial Senate in a bit. We're going to talk about a lot of planets, a lot of people, some familiar faces as well. But I feel like this is one of these, like, not Clone Wars or Rebels type shows, but this is going to be like an adventure, like going across the galaxy whilst keeping us in the loop with what's happening, the political side of it. Is that a bit of too much of an insight from me?
No, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think, yes, it's Andor and it's Cassian's going to be our central character, but from what you've seen in even the teaser trailer to this one, I don't think we're going to spend like he's not going to be in every scene of this in this series. He's not going to be some maybe some episodes where he's not even like central to that episode. Mon Mothma seems like she's going to play a massive role in this. We're going to be around Coruscant a lot. So I mean, yes, he'll be off on missions, I'm guessing, and being part of the Empire by the looks of it, to trying to do that side of it and espionage, and it's just got a completely different feel to what I was maybe expecting from the show that we're going to get. I just can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, I feel like, kind of like political spy thriller with action mixed in. I don't know. I feel like it's so up in the air about what this show really is going to be. I think we've been gotten taken one way and actually thrown the other way with some of the other shows with what we expected them to be. I think it's just also intriguing. I mean, I think because we're not just bound to Tatooine, or we're not, and we're kind of in an era that we know but we don't know, and to see all this stuff in live action anyway, I think there's just a lot to actually look forward to that maybe we necessarily didn't think we needed. But no, I think, there's just a lot to get into. And I think just looking at this trailer again and actually, taking in what is actually being shown to us and maybe just like kind of seeing what we think is going to happen. I think, I have maybe vibes of and I say this lightly at all, but vibes of kind of early Game of Thrones, when it was all, when it was more conversation and political intrigue and, some action bits happen, but they weren't action set pieces all the time. And to have that, but set in kind of a Star Wars space. And I just think that would actually be incredibly interesting. And, I think we've discussed, George, about, we enjoy some of the political things because that's at the end of the day what leads to wars and what leads to, things going wrong and disruption. So to actually see that and to, have something like the Senate and Mon Mothma's point of view, I think will be very, very interesting.
100%. And what we'll do, for everyone at home that's not done one of these before, we always play the trailer. We'll play it now, and then we'll have a chat after. Now, anyone also curious about Phil? Phil's having a lovely time on holiday, so don't worry about Phil not being here. He said he's having a good time, and that's all we care about, if we're being blunt. So, that aside, Phil will return. At the end of the video, we'll speak about some of the channel plans for Andor as well, actually. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit play now. So, everybody at home, I hope this works. There we go. Can everyone hear that all good?
Yeah.
Power of StreamYard. And I know that's cool.
To steal from the Empire? You just walk in like you belong. They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me would ever get inside their house.
Cassian Andor. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting.
You're in my net. Are you a fish? Or are you a thief? You're slipping.
I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long.
As long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
This is what revolution looks like. I'm tired of losing.
Right. Okay. So we've obviously already seen this trailer. We're not going to react. We're not going to go for the thumbnail hype.
Oh my
that sort of
god.
stuff. Yeah, and listen, we know it's part of the YouTube algorithm.
Kevin!
We could do it if we wanted to, but I hope there's a channel out there that they don't have their own photos. They just use like famous reactions. That's not the laser eyes, because I know a lot of people do that. I hate that. But no, I mean, again, that's the first time I've seen the trailer in full since it drops at lunch. I went through it to get the photo for the thumbnail frame, like very quick frame by frame, and there's been some issues getting the frames out for us to show, but we'll talk over some of it. But just again, how are we all feeling this trailer? I mean, to me, this looks unbelievable, and my initial vibes of it, I was really hyped for this show. As I said, I'm a big fan of Rogue One, big fan of the era of the politics. I didn't expect an Andor show to look that good, and when I say look, I don't mean in terms of the quality of the potential story of characters. I'm talking costume designs. I mean, we know they're shot on location, shooting in sets, creatures, robots. Two Troops is back. It looks like a film, which is the ultimate compliment for a TV series trailer, right?
It looks more like a movie than anything we've had so far in the Disney Plus TV shows. And I think the fact they aren't on the volume and the volume's been amazing for giving actors not a big green screen to act against. It's what Ewan McGregor loved about coming back to do Kenobi. But this being shot on location makes such a difference to the actual feel of it, to just the depth perception on when they're in those initial shots of all those greenery around them. The realism just looks incredible. I was blown away by how, like you said, how good it looks for a trailer for a TV show we're going to watch is just immense.
Yeah, I think what the good and bad thing about what Disney have been doing in terms of promoting these recent Star Wars series is that because they don't want to spoil things, so they don't show that much in the trailers. But by doing that, we don't see all the potential what they've actually done, the costume designs, the different locations, because they don't want plot points leaking. With this, I think because there's less issues with that. I mean, obviously we don't know any very clear spoilers or plot points, but I feel like it's less of an issue because we are seeing so much more. I don't feel like all this is just going to come from the first 2 episodes, for example. It feels like it could expand into more episodes, or maybe at least half the series. And to see just so much variety in terms of the costume, for sure, the different landscapes. I think that's what we want in a Star Wars series. I mean, I've enjoyed all the ones that we've had so far, and I do like sticking to one location. I think especially if the actual characters and story really work. But to actually see this, what feels like a journey, happen, and kind of switching between characters. And getting not just focusing on one. Yeah, it's called Andor, but that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it's just doing that. They could have called it Mothma, and I would have been like, excellent, sure. I probably would have preferred that actually, but yeah, I think it all looks good, and I'm just so intrigued about what the story actually is going to be and how we are going to follow these characters, because it sort of seems to be such a good mix of action, political intrigue. Just banding together, seeing some classic characters with some new ones. The new characters I'm very, very intrigued about, actually. I think there's a lot of them in there, a lot of new villains, and a lot of new allies. So, yeah, I'm at the point where now I'm just I just want to know. I just want to see who these people are.
No, really well said. And I think what kind of jumps in with that is I'm just going to not read out facts, but we know this is 2 seasons. And obviously what has been confirmed is that Celebration is season 1 will cover 1 year, and season 2 will cover the equivalent of 4 years heading into Rogue One, which I think is still a very risky but understandable scenario. The selfishness in me is not 1 season per year, but 1 season for 1 year and 1 season for 4. That doesn't weigh up in my mind. However, I trust the Gilroys writing this. After all, they're the ones that came on board with Rogue One and turned Rogue One into the film it is. And I listen, everyone, would love to see the Gareth Edwards cut. I think, we're not cultists. I mean, there's some horrific Star Wars people, but they're not fans. You know what I mean? We're not racist psychopaths. We're not like the Zack Snyder cultists and all that stuff. We're not going to terrorize every director that works on Star Wars. But I want to see a Gareth Edwards cut one day. But only because we still end up with an unbelievable film, and the talk of the town was that the Gareth Edwards cut was like too adult, which I still find insane. But at the same time, it's not as big a deal compared to what, again, the Snyder cults will say. They're probably going to be coming in their hives at the moment. But how do we... I'm trying to think. I mean, we've not got stills. What I'm going to do, if we want to pull up... I'll pull up the trailer. I'm not going to play it again, but if I think I can drag through... Again, we don't normally do this on StreamYard. So if I can just pause it, I think it will let me pause it. There we go. Do we just want to talk about the main selling points? So, I've seen this discussed a lot, the Star Destroyer. There we go. That's all right. Again, rookie streamer stuff. You can tell they're on location because this is a compliment, but yet criticism. I don't want to really criticize because it's amazing. You know, when you go on like Twitter or something and you say, like, not a fan film, but you used to get these like really cool like viral marketing where they literally have Star Destroyers in like Earth skylines. Do you
San
remember
Francisco. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
It was like, yeah.
This looks like that, and I kind of give it them as a backhanded compliment, like, because so the someone's going to turn around to me and probably says a blue screen now, but I just like, again, going back to Rogue One, the Star Destroyer sitting on top of Jeddah is one of my favorite images I've ever seen in Star Wars, because it's just something we hadn't seen. It's something they couldn't do in the 80s. And now we can just see it just chilling with the new people. Again, it doesn't give anything about how do we feel, like, to set the tones, tell people this is Star Wars, this is the era, here's the Star Destroyer in a terrified town. How are we feeling?
It's exactly that. I mean, you see, it's only the second time we've seen the Star Destroyer in actual atmosphere of a planet. We're always used to it in black space. So to see it just casually cruising across, casting that shadow across little villages of these people who we don't know what their deal is at the moment, but maybe it's a rebel cell, or they're being hunted for some reason, or the Empire is starting to maybe take over their world for some reason. It's just that it gives you that immediate Star Wars feel. This is where you are. You know you're outside the Clone Wars era. You know you're heading towards the original trilogy just by the ships that you get. I think there's a shot later on where they're tearing all the old, looks like the old mining, like you've seen in I think it's in, is it Fallen Order, where they're tearing all the ships apart? Yeah, and they're mining for all the parts. So I think you get kind of an idea of that later. But yeah, so it's nice to see exactly like this is the era when we're past that. We're into this part, and yeah, it's always an iconic ship. It's always amazing to see. It just lands you in Star Wars.
Yeah, the in-atmosphere stuff is always like fun to see. I think especially when it's something that is so large like Star Destroyer, because we don't get that very often. I mean, I don't even think in many, at least of the old Star Wars games, there was many times where Star Destroyers actually entered the atmosphere. So it's just a really cool thing to see, and it would be great to actually see them actually use the firepower of a Star Destroyer on a world. I think I love about this shot, even though the Star Destroyer may not be the final version of this, but I love kind of that mix of like the natural environment, and then you just have this gigantic, basically war machine, and this representation of evil that we've seen since day dot, since literally the first few seconds of Star Wars. So you just know that already, and I love that, you can see, they've got some ties flying by the side of it, which I think is great too. So I mean, just to see this like natural area with that, I just think it looks really good, and clearly the character there looks like she's probably a little bit terrified.
Yeah, and kind of following on with that, one of the things this shot here, I love this. I'm convinced that 6-year-old Cassian, I don't want to sort of harp on that too much. We're not going to do a shot. We're not going to be here for a 2.5 hour frame by frame. We'd love to be, but we've all got busy lives. But I'm convinced that 6-year-old Cassian, do you remember that I've been in this war since I was 6 years old? He's probably got an amazing beard at the age of 6 because, he's 21 this and he's looking absolutely fine. So, yeah. But again, just going off this imagery here, the one thing I want to speak about, we had the Empire interview come out today where they basically said, we're not shooting on the volume, we're shooting on sets. And they were sort of joking, saying, it's filmmaking. That's not a set. But the day that becomes a set, I will break into it and I will just sit there.
Me and George will be using the different pods as dodgems.
Yeah.
Just like...
You know how like people talk. I mean, Dave, you've took your lad to his first football game, and I think everyone remembers probably going to their first football match as well. It's that sort of feeling of going through, through the what's it called, the area where the food and drink is, going to the pitch side. That'd be me going to the Senate. Like, if this was a real, there's a cinema in front, isn't there, that's either being built or has just opened, where it was all viewing in domes like this, and it was literally trending because it was literally like the Imperial Senate, but just as, because this is, by the way, this is the Imperial Senate now. Because Sam,
You can
what
see the
you texted
floor.
me earlier, yeah, I just didn't. I think I was so took into the pods, I never looked at the floor. And when Sam texted me, I was like, "Oh my word! Like, it's the literal Imperial Senate."
Like,
Shout out to the Imperial Senate podcasts. For everybody that follows them, they're like legitimately canon now in their own rights. They've been saying so. That's amazing. If you don't follow them, they're a great Star Wars podcast to listen to for a bit of fun. But I mean, we've spoken about the Senate building in the past. How do we feel? How do we feel again? This is the politics side, but to me, this is the bridge. This is what they were too scared to do in Rogue One. They're bridging that prequels to originals gap, and they're plugging it. I think this is probably the most visual element of them ever doing that, because you think of politics and Star Wars, you think of this building. It's their House of Commons. It's their, what's it called, the American one? I can't be asked for American politics. Sorry. But you know what I mean. Like, this is the visual image of politics in Star Wars, and I'm just so excited to get it back. It's a really sad thing, and given the way the real world is at the moment, it's kind of making me want this even more.
It's a really bizarre thing, but the fact we didn't go back to Coruscant in 7, 8, and 9 seemed like a really wasted thing. Like, you have this central hub, this that was so big and such a big part of the prequel story. Obviously, it wasn't really in the originals because it wasn't created at that time, but to then not go back, I think, was a big waste opportunity. I think that's one of the things when you read Trevorrow's script, although a lot of it I didn't like. The fact you went back to Coruscant was a big thing they missed. With that, I love that we're going to go back there. I love, like, it looks a lot of this trailer. You see Coruscant, a lot of it. Like when you see Mos Mothma, it's all around Coruscant, which I think is a really good move to go back there. And what's not good to say about this update? Obviously it was smashed to bits in episode 3, so they had to do some work anyway. So yeah, couldn't find Yoda. So do you want to put a big Imperial symbol on the floor as well? Look amazing. Is I'm sure what Palpatine said exactly. So yeah, I'm so glad we're back there. I can't wait to see who's now. I love the pods. Have got the Imperial logos on the front of every pod as well. It looks amazing.
Yeah, and I know we've discussed this, last time we spoke about Andor, but I think to have the Senate and Coruscant is for me, it's such a massive thing, and I think for anyone who grew up with the prequels and had like Phantom Menace as their first Star Wars film in the cinema, something like this is a massive deal for something that's been like so ignored for a long period of time. And I know it's over the past few years, it's kind of like weaved its way back in, but to actually have like this visual in there. Coruscant may not have been referenced in A New Hope, but the Imperial Senate was. The first thing that we ever know about this world is the Senate. So I think it's so important to have that there, and I think especially with Mon Mothma being a part of this, and to actually see where it is at this stage, it's just super intriguing. And I think the look of it, the updated version of the Senate, having the Imperial logo everywhere, having this new kind of like middle column, which obviously looks like it doesn't see anyone anymore. That no one's it's all of that. But yeah, it's still so obviously the same thing. It's just amazing that we're getting it, and I can't wait to kind of hear what Mon Mothma is going to be saying there, how she's going to be portraying herself, putting on an act, because it definitely feels like that's what she's going to be doing. But then seeing what the other kind of senators and representatives are doing from other worlds, I feel like we could get some really nice Easter eggs, in there as well, as there always is in a Senate scene. It feels like there's always something.
We'll get the ET group back.
Maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think of you might get the the ones from Avatar in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there's just so much. I know we'll probably talk more about Coruscant stuff when we see more of Mon Mothma's clips, but I just think it's just so great to see it back. It's a great location and area, and so much happens there. So,
and also I'll end this. I guarantee the first shot we're going to get at the Senate. I don't know if the mouse is showing on screen, hovering around the circle. the logo, it will be, I guarantee you right now, a bird's eye shot. And you know how in episode 3 it opens up for the pod to go through upwards, right? It's literally just going to begin on the logo of the Empire, and we're just going to see the Senate pod rise up ready for Senate. But also, again, I don't want to get into the politics too much, but are we going to get the Emperor, or do you reckon that he just has like Mazameda just like doing everything for him instead? Because there's going to have to be someone there. Again, I'd rather it's not Ian McDermott, but again, this guy looks like he's going to be important. He's in both trailers now, which just looks amazing in the whole white room, white vibe. Speaking of people that are great wearing white clothing in Star Wars, obviously there's been heavy speculation about a certain director Krennic being in this series. We're going to get to, actually, is he next? A certain... Why are all the characters blank on me? This is where I miss Phil. How on earth have I forgotten his name? He was from... Actually, we'll go back to this. Ignore me. We'll get to Saw Gerrera. Sorry, let's look at the wall for my poster to see how he signed it. We'll get to Saw Gerrera in a bit, but how are we feeling with like Andor, the whole... This is the espionage stuff. So Sam, I'll jump to you first for Dave for this. He's speaking like they didn't expect me to slip in. That doesn't sound like your typical Star Wars, we've just nabbed their costume for a couple of hours. This feels like a actual espionage. He's in with them.
Yeah, I mean, what's great about Andor in Rogue One is that you get a real good sense that he knows what he's doing. He absolutely, he's been there, done that, and I think this is an absolute, if we're gonna have a series where he's a focus, then we need to see what he's done. And so to actually kind of like get his story, and because we are going to get, like you've said, that that kind of like 1 year journey, then 4 years later we can see how he progresses. And of course, I'm going to presume there's some flashbacks in there, to his childhood, or that will be kind of like a pre-title sequence, maybe. I'm not too sure, but I think we really need to kind of fall in love with this character. I mean, if anyone who I'm going to presume a lot of people haven't in Rogue One, they maybe enjoy his character, but I think to create more of an emotional connection, to actually see him, playing a bit dirty and actually being, he's maybe an anti-hero, he's maybe not 100% good. We see that in Rogue One. I think we need to see him kind of like develop those skills, and if anything's going to do that, it's going to be kind of maybe not playing both sides, but getting intel in, and actually having to do some dirty work just to get by. And of course, with the era that we're in when the show is, and I presume that was how a lot of people would survive, but clearly he's got a lot for him, and he's learned a lot because he's had to survive. So yeah, I'm very I'm looking forward to that specifically too, because we don't see that very often, especially in Star Wars, and I think that's when these different genres come in, and I think it's going to be great to actually mix those in and actually get more of a slow paced story revolving these characters.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this isn't just more of them. It doesn't feel from the image that we get, and obviously it's just an image, part of a few seconds, that it's just them sneaking around inside of the Empire. That looks like he is in the Empire, whether he's probably not under his own name, and he probably is in some way hiding inside the Empire, but I certainly feel that this feels like he's lined up as part of the Empire. And it will be interesting to see what missions he partakes in and what he's then trying to do around those missions, to which way he's maybe sabotaging a little bit or just learning information, but what he has to then do while he's still part. Because like we saw episode 7, for example, when Finn didn't take the shot on the villagers, it's very much what Cassian then had to do to not be flagged as someone as a spy. And he probably has got we saw him shoot that guy in the back. I just don't think that was the very first time for Cassian to shoot someone in the back. I think it's something that we're going to see a lot of, I think.
No, really, Weston, I'm kind of with you. I think we need to see this, because one of my biggest criticism of Rogue One, and actually, if anyone's been following us that long, when we did the first review, I think it was after a midnight screening, it was like downstairs at mine. I call it the Oscar room because it's only on videos when it's Oscar Sunday, because it's like 3 a.m. I was really gutted with Cassian's character, because on the press tour, Diego Luna was by a country mile. You know how pre-Force Awakens, like John Boyega was almost like, not the mascot, that sounds really unfair, but you could just, they were all excited, but he was more excited than most. That was Diego Luna. and I was really good after that first thing. I was like, oh, like he's not energetic. He's like he's a spy. He's a cold, calculated individual, and I'm really excited to see how he grew into that. And again, it's these little snippets here, and this is the point of a trailer, you know. And even talking about the big man himself, Stellan Skarsgård popping up, who we know is going to be in this series. I'm just skipping over. If someone wants to stop, let me know. But I'm going to stop at Stellan
yeah, I mean,
Skarsgård.
all I was going to say about that, I mean, it's like what Dave said before. It looks like Fallen Order a little bit. It looks like Braca. It would be great if we got that in live action, because I remember playing that game and having that as being the introduction and seeing, it's literally the visual representation of the shift from the Republic to the Empire, and seeing all these Republic era ships just being dismantled and turned into stuff for the Imperials. So I really hope that this is that. I mean, I love that we're getting Fallen Order connections, and I hope it leads to more things. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to see if we can. This would be where Phil comes in, but I'm just trying to see if that circular pod means anything. But maybe I've been playing too much Battlefront. Dave, anything on the construction yard? Because I'm the same as both of you. What you said earlier, it's spending time in these environments where just in live action, it's just going to look incredible.
Yeah. It's great. Like I said earlier, I think that shot kind of sells it perfectly. They're just taking these things apart. One of the things I want to go back to maybe is if you go back to the clones that we saw, or maybe are clones.
Is it
just
this
a little
bit?
bit as
Hold
they're
on.
walking through the street. It's the bit just before you see the Death Troopers. It's the shot before, and you get the clone there. You get these clones walking through. Now that is like Phase 3
Phil's dream.
armor, but I'm wondering if that is not clones, if that is stormtroopers in their first variation of their armor before they move to stormtroopers and not clones. I don't know. If we were going to get them clones at this stage, I would have very much liked to have seen. Although then the Empire didn't want that they're all the clones that have been Order 66, so I guess they're no longer individuals anymore. So yeah, actually, I was about to go, I'd like a bit of a hitting things, but actually, from the era we're in, they wouldn't have that anymore. They would have lost that individuality. So I just wondered if they were going to be clones or they're going to be stormtroopers.
It could be a flashback. My bet is we're going to get a lot of Cassian when he was 6 flashbacks. And here's an even bigger tease, not to sort of sink it to Bad Batch, but we know Bad Batch season 1 ended with the destruction of Kamino, in theory, the destruction of the clone army. Does that mean season 2 will get the first generation stormtroopers, or could it be this in a flashback?
Yeah, I'm not. It's difficult because I mean, what I have been intrigued about is kind of like the shift from. I mean, I feel like I'm going to keep saying this, but like the shift from Republic to Imperial, but also the shift from actual clone armor to the stormtrooper armor, and to actually see it happen. I think it'd be great to have one of those things where it's like you actually see either the clones either get shafted, or the actual armor gets replaced. I know I'm thinking back to playing Battlefront 2, the original, and have it going on that 501st story, and then you suddenly, after Order 66 and all that's done, I can't remember if you play some levels as clone troopers still immediately afterwards, or if you
a couple. I remember Naboo you do as the clones
when you have to assassinate
kill
the queen. Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure it's then stormtroopers. Does it jump really far in the future straight away? I can't remember.
I think it might do, but even like playing a game like that where you actually follow really the clone story. And you know that some of the clones then take on the stormtrooper armor. I think that's something that I would love to actually see in kind of live action. Probably not going to see that here, but I think just seeing these clones, I think it gives you a lot of ideas about what could be happening. But it probably is just a flashback. But hold out hope.
Again, it's just incredible to see actual troopers in armor as well, clones in actual physical armor. Is been lovely over the Disney Plus era, where we've had it in Kenobi, and we're getting in this, where Lucas obviously didn't go down that route. He was trying something different that he wanted to do, where they were just complete CGI. And I think it's really nice to see actual physical troopers again. And there's the man himself.
And this is the thing, like, I don't want to diss on the Lucas era because I understood what he was doing pushing tech, but
yeah.
The CGI clones is very much certainly looked upon now as this is when it went too far. I mean, if anyone's watched Light and Magic on Disney Plus, you're missing. You know you've witnessed one of the best behind the scenes Star Wars ever had. But seeing Lucas at his forefront, he was pioneering technology, and it's like that was the priority, which is incredible when you look at the legacy. We're sitting here doing After Effects and Premiere Pro at home. That doesn't happen about ILM. John Knoll created Photoshop whilst working at ILM, kind of by mistake. That's right, Photoshop by mistake. That's kind of how it is, and a lot of things like that. And the Disney era, as much as people want to jump on it and listen, you're more than entitled to. You can study for story reasons. From a technical standpoint of the films, I genuinely believe these are the best crafted. And when I say crafted, I mean sets, productions, technologies, everything put in place by Mr. Lucas all those years ago. Everything that the industry shifted towards, Disney and Kathleen Kennedy have done a fantastic job in pushing that. And it's kind of going to lead me. I don't want to sound like I'm saying North America, but this is the first Disney Plus series filmed in the UK. And I'm going to make this crystal clear, not because I've worked in the industry or at the studio it's from. There is a common knowledge, and again, this isn't me being xenophobic, that the UK crews are the best crews in the industry. Not cruise ships, crews and people that work on film and TV. Just in case someone wants to comment it. And Sam, I know you're massive on your Bond stuff, and the Pyramid and 007 stage is like it's like the Garden of Eden for James Bond. It is James Bond if it's there. And seeing this back at Pinewoods, and this is what I've seen a lot of people pick up on. Like, again, most of the Disney Plus shows look fine and they're really good. It's like the costume designs. It's the fact that I'm not dissing on the volume. It's one of the best pieces of technology ever made. It's in its very, very early stages. But it's quite mesmerizing, again, to see in these practical sets environments for this show. The fact they literally built a town in Buckinghamshire to shoot this series on. And you can find photos of that. It was all over the news actually. Like they'd built a town. And that's very rare to happen these days, especially on a TV budget. And I just want to say, again, going to stuff like the costume, like the makeup, UK crews are just so superior to the overseas ones. And for anyone who wants to get upset, that is the core principle as to why they're all coming over. It's why all the studios are buying up UK studio space, because we have the best people in this country to do it. And even Kenobi, not without getting into that too much, but that was meant to shoot in the UK. That is a very well-known fact in the industry. And obviously, its code name was Pilgrim. And then COVID happened. Kenobi shot in America, and the codename Pilgrim was used for Cassian, which is the code for season 2 for anyone listening. And it's, and I noticed, that's my background to notice that. But am I overlooking this? Like, do you both see it? Again, it's the costumes, it's the environments. It looks like Star Wars. And where did Star Wars begin? In the UK in the 70s.
I can go first on this one, but you're right. I think British, film, is such, it's a tried and tested thing. People love it. It's been such an iconic part of just our global history in film. And I think you've got to hand it to all the crews and everyone who's worked in that over the many decades to actually make us actually be on a level that either is on par with everyone else or occasionally surpasses it. And I think I've definitely mentioned this, I think, on Kenobi, but you can see the visual difference between, and a lot of it is CGI too, but you can see the difference between the Phantom Menace and the other two prequel films. You can see that for everything. And just linking back to the clone thing really quickly, I know in episode 1 they had a lot of practical effects. They had practical battle droids, and I believe that had the clone troopers been introduced in that film, they probably would have used actual physical costumes. You look at the amount of costumes that were created for the characters in that film. It's crazy. And I feel like designer Trisha Bigard did an absolutely amazing job with the costumes in the prequel films. And so I think it's just great to actually have some more British influence in Star Wars, because, as you say, it's always been there since the very beginning. And yeah, to have it be located around such an iconic area like Pinewood, which has some of the 007 stage, one of the biggest sound stages out there. Of course, for me, it's iconic because of that anyway. But to have the Star Wars influence, I think, is also just incredible. And you can see it on screen, and we've already said it already, but you can see how good this is looking. And to have a mix of digital and practical, I think it's the finding, not to mention Neighbours, but the perfect blend. So you kind of want to have, all of that. The volume's done great things, and I'm sure it's just going to continue to develop as tech always does. But you can't deny that sometimes it is just great to actually have a proper set, people right there, characters, costumes, aliens, whatever you want, in there, in the frame, actually there, and shooting it. And if you can do it and it's not incredibly expensive to do it, then do it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how these all look all together, because there's going to be much less volume compared to these other series that have recently come out.
I think it's tactile. You actually you can almost feel it with the difference in how this has been shot. It just stands out. Even we've had the shot on screen for a little while, and there's something different about it that just feels like a movie trailer. It's so bizarre. Just this one frame of Skarsgård being I don't know, there's something about it that just stands out to me as being shot differently.
It's because there's a shadow on one half of him, and we can see that it's not a green screen behind him. And I don't want to take easy pots at, this is nothing to do with the volume. I'm just, obviously I've seen Thor recently, and that terribly used that incredible technology. But again, that was shot in lockdown in a country where no one could go in or out of. And I think same with Kenobi. I think a lot of the visuals have been almost backhanded over this year and a half, and obviously Marvel by themselves have got their own VFX issues. You don't need to look far into it to see some of the articles kind of the last few weeks about the conditions of them. But again, it just seems like with Lucasfilm, they're so switched on, and a 3-week delay. Maybe it's tactical for filming, maybe it's tactical for other programs, but as we spoke throughout the Kenobi series, they were so patient with that series coming out. They didn't just run with the first script. They took their time. They would rewrite. They'd bring on different writers. And certainly the Cassian series, I'm pretty sure it's shot for like 6, 7, it's shot for almost a year I know of myself. And that is unheard of. But again, a 12-episode TV series. And that was the big question. Why 12 episodes? Why Andor? We're seeing it in this trailer. And this is the incredible thing. It just looks phenomenal. And obviously, when season 2 starts filming, a lot of these sets are probably going to get recycled, which means that budget will be even more incredible. But if we just want to sit on Stellan Skarsgård, I've looked at him for a while now. He's an unbelievable actor. I don't mind looking at him a lot more. I would argue he's at the forefront of this trailer, right? I didn't expect that before. I was expecting the Mon Mothma and Cassian reels. This is all about the Skarsgård. We'll get to the incredible hair change later on. How are we feeling about him? I would argue maybe in a co-lead in a Star Wars show, because to me he's born for it, and I'm so excited to see him in this.
It's a wonderful change that you get. Obviously, the earlier shots of him with Mon Mothma seem to be from him being taken into the Coruscant life, like he's been. Where I think it must be either whoever he's with at the time says he's slipping. He says, "I'm not slipping. I've been hiding too long," and it just feels like he's been this guy who's just been living the high life in Coruscant, not really looking outside of that world and what's been going on. And then he's finally finding his way back to hiring Cassian down to see Saw Gerrera. I mean, my word, getting Saw Gerrera is a big surprise in this trailer for me. Like, oh my God, he's back, and he's not this breathing robot machine man that we saw in Rogue One. So we're getting sort of the story of that as well. And I mean, to be able to call on these actors to bring them back into a TV show. I mean, he's been playing Saw Gerrera what now for 10 years. So he's been doing it like it's his character now, and I love that he's in the trailer, and it's just phenomenal to have him back. And there's just going to be some acting lessons in this show, I think, that are going to be head and shoulders above some of the stuff we've seen. That's again what gives me more feeling when I watch this trailer, that I think we're seeing a lot more. Is it Genevieve O'Reilly? Is that the right first name?
Yeah.
As Mon Mothma, when she's talking later on about her being an irritation to hide what she's doing. Some of the acting in this trailer is absolutely right up there for me.
I was going to say about the last shot as well as this one. The lighting, is just, I feel like some people. I mean, we've said it with like the lightsabers and whatnot in Kenobi, and how they've used to really amp up the visual and actually show what's going on. But the light in every single shot that we're seeing of people's faces, they're just lit so perfectly. And so I think that's just another part of what we've said about some. It feels kind of prestigious in a way. It does not feel tacky. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is a TV show based on a film. Like, it's one of those things. So I mean, that's great. This with the open
Mud
helmet
Troopers.
is I'm just kind of like, whoa. I was gonna mention
Han Solo's in there somewhere.
Oh god, imagine. But like Saw Gerrera popping up in pretty much every piece of media within this era is just such a mood. It's such a mood. It's so funny. He's just always around. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go take a sheet today. I'm gonna be here today. It's so funny. So yeah, I can't wait to see more of him. That shot before of those ships landing.
That's when the Death Star klaxon kicked in, didn't it?
I think so. I can't really remember the audio anymore, but I just think I'm sure we've seen those ships before, where it's a mix of
Republic gunship and stuff like a newer version of. Yeah,
I wanted to like scream Evolution by Motorhead then, but I'm not on YouTube.
Yeah, no, but I feel like we've seen something like this before, and maybe if Phil had been here, we could have figured it out. But I love seeing that kind of evolution. This guy, all I can think of is him when he was in EastEnders.
Yeah, that's all over Twitter.
Terrible in EastEnders. Great actor, terrible. I think he was also in MI High, which was like a
I used to watch that.
Yeah, it was very good.
She's got A-list now, the main actress, which I can't believe.
Oh really? Oh well. Anyway, I digress. We're going off topic, but this guy, he's a fantastic actor, and so I'm going to presume he's going to be a villain in this because I think that's what he does incredibly well. So looking forward to him. I kind of forgot what we were talking about before now, but I mean, Skarsgård looks great. Saw Gerrera, can't wait to see him again and how much of a role he plays. But yeah, Skarsgård seems like he's going to have a massive role in this. It does feel like if we are saying about flipping through characters again, I'm going to mention Game of Thrones, where you kind of like do have those key figureheads. I think if we're thinking of like season 1, you have like the Cersei, the Ned Stark. You have the kids with their own thing and whatnot, and Jon Snow. I feel like it could be like that, where you're not having one person like a Kenobi moving to different planets to see what's going on with then some cuts just to some Inquisitors. You're going to get Mon Mothma doing her thing, Skarsgård's character doing his thing, Andor doing his thing, and maybe some of the worlds colliding. Because I don't know, had Andor met Saw Gerrera in... Did he mention in Rogue One that...
Just they were trying to get a meeting with him that they hadn't been able to, had they?
There's that moment when Andor goes up to grab Felicity Jones, when him and Saw have this really awkward standoff where like they're both kind of like shunts like that, like they're ready for it, and then he just sort of like lets him go and runs off. So I've always imagined there's a history. I know that. I mean, I'm going to rewatch Rebels before Ahsoka next year. That's like a big thing we'll be doing on the channel. That's like a really casual giveaway there. But I feel like he was in a lot of Rebels. Then he came back again in the final season for a small arc. But we all thought that now he's one Mechanical Man, but he still hadn't at that point. So I'm wondering if that's something they want to do in this series over the coming seasons. Who knows? But just the shot of the landing shuttle again. Every Star Wars fan, got a bit excited at that point. But it's these interiors here that you can't do that. I feel like I'm dissing the environment in terms that in the original trilogy, we never got to explore the Imperials outside of being on the Death Star 2, or on Star Destroyer, right? And now we're getting to see the Imperials in their strong points, in their habitat, in their territory when they were, like ruling the galaxy. And it's these set designs that I'm really looking forward to. It feels almost like you get these like films where I've not seen one for Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but it's sort of set in like the bright overly white THX 1138 George Lucas-esque.
Yeah.
It's that kind of room when it's it's pristine and it's clean and it's sort of cultish at the same time. It's these things that I don't think you can do without them being practical. Maybe someone's going to tell me it's a green screen. Who knows? But it's little things like this to me are going a long way. And even jumping ahead again, we get a hologram of the map and a few characters meeting. We've got Cassian again, and again, we don't know any of these character names. We just know that they're going to be involved in the series, and that's what I'm really excited for. And I think this is the thing I've been. Have you seen the memes for this yet, guys?
Is it something to do with Bilbo Baggins? I feel like that's what it could be.
So there's this face saying getting ready to go to work. Then it's this face for me during work, and then it's him depressed in the cockpit with short hair saying as soon as I clock out. But again, I've just got to say, Stellan Skarsgård, is he wearing a wig? Is it a flashback or flash forward? Or I'm so excited by his role.
A wig.
Because
flashback, yeah.
It's again because it's espionage. Also, there's some lovely Mandalorian armor behind him for keen eye. Yes, right, the silver.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh wow.
It's things like this that, again, I just want to know what's his purpose, what's happened, what's going on. And listen, I love Kenobi and I love the Mandalorian, and I don't feel like we've ever had that in the Mandalorian where we've ever cared about the supporting characters outside of Mando and Grogu. I don't want to generalize, but maybe me myself, I've never seen a supporting character, bar maybe like Bill Burr when we got into it with him, where people have popped up. I'm like, I need to know their story. I've been having that with this trailer. Again, is it the era? Is it the big name actors playing these roles? Because I still think getting Skarsgård in a Star Wars show is pretty big, considering he's currently filming Dune Part 2, like the other big sci-fi franchise. But again, like, how are we feeling with little things like this? Because
I mean, you can't feel anything but sort of joyous.
There's a lot of time here over the episodes.
Yeah, so you can't feel any joy. That's okay. Your camera had a bit cut out, so just filling in for you, sir. I mean, so depressed now. He's lost his lovely hair. I'll be honest.
That's it. Someone cut his, he had a bad haircut.
Yeah. Stan Lee had that machine out and cut his hair. But no, I mean, we're back on Coruscant again. So him and Mothma, they seem to be friends, like not just like in the little clique of the rebellion and talking undercover and things. This is like her going to his house maybe, or to his dwelling certainly. And I just think we're going to get such great storytelling especially over 12 episodes. Are going to be much. They don't have to be as tight. They don't have to kind of give us like, you've got this story, got this, and now we're going to finish really quickly. We're going to get this really nice build throughout. I mean, 12 episodes. We don't know how long these episodes are, but I mean, for getting 3 on the first release date, you're basically getting a movie on September 21st to watch. Even if it's like 35 minutes an episode, you're still getting a film's worth of material out on that first day, and I really can't wait to have seen it.
Yeah, I wanted to just quickly talk about some of what you said about the sets, George, and I think one of the criticisms about the prequels, I'm going to mention it again, is that people are complaining about how clean it looks, compared to how the originals looked. But you're right, when you get such a perspective, which is almost all Rebel, and the only Imperial stuff we get is Star Destroyers and Death Stars, where that does look clean. It's not, because that's they are the high power, whereas in the prequels that was the main thing, and that's the main thing that we saw. So it makes sense to have those, and I think they all look great. And so I love how you can see that mix. You can actually tell kind of like where a person is in the hierarchy based on their surroundings. And I think that's why having actual whether it's a physical set or the volume or whatever, it's important to actually just showcase that it's not just the person; it's the entire environment around them. I'm also intrigued by the Imperial officer, the female Imperial officer. She there's something about her and what she could be. Is that to me, I'm just looking forward to. I mean, it's not that much, but I just feel like I just think she looks really interesting, and I just want
hair
to see
matches her clothes, which I like.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, color consistency there in terms of the hair and the costume. Just something. I mean, I love that Mon Mothma appears to have some form of like weird Cadillac outside. That's her ride. It's this Cadillac speeder. Having some space battles is fantastic. You know, hopefully not
Yeah.
too many, but I
wanna
have no
cut to
idea what that
this.
ship is there.
So this is what I've seen on Twitter. I apologize, I've forgotten the name of it. The original concept art for a Star Destroyer is this ship here with the satellite dishes
Okay.
Wow.
because it looks very, it looks very un-Star Warsy, if that's a term. It's a very 2001: A Space Odyssey. But this has been doing the rounds on Twitter all day today, which I thought was really cool. Because if it is one of them, and this was the beauty of Rogue One, they were able to make so many nods to the original trilogy of things they couldn't do at the time, whether tech limited it, whether they just couldn't put it in because it didn't work, or they just couldn't justify it. We're going to be able to explore so much of that with this sort of new era.
But that also,
as-
just sorry to cut in just really quickly,
Yeah.
that also looks like the Corvette that's used in the prequels, like, you know, in the Phantom Menace beginning, it kind of has a kind of like reminiscent of that a little bit in terms of like that
Yeah.
look, which obviously, as we know, some of the ships that were made in there were made to kind of like look like, oh, these are early iterations of what would eventually become, you know, ships in the Empire. And so yeah, this just looks like another version where it's kind of like that kind of like middle ground between, you know, the old and the new. So it's just great that they can use some of those old concepts and actually, you know, put them to use. Because I mean, it does look great, and I just wonder what that specific ship or satellite, whatever it's going to be, is actually going to be used for.
No, really, really well said of that. And we'll see if we can push on because I know we've been going for over an hour, and I know it's very late. So I'm pretty sure, obviously, again, Coruscant, lots of Coruscant. I mean, we've not spoken about Mon Mothma since you brought up. I'm really excited to see, as we've all kind of said, what Genevieve Riley's what material she's gonna get, because if you really think about her story with Star Wars, is deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith, cameo in Rogue One, to now co-lead in a Star Wars series 17 years later. I think that's pretty amazing. And you got to think for the actress as well, similar to Ewan McGregor, a little bit different because obviously it was a cameo in episode 3, but she's almost grown with the character to when it's needed, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And she's, as I say, for being someone who was cut out of episode 3 to not appear, to still now be their Mon Mothma is such a great move. She has such the look about her. And she's, every time we've seen her on screen, I loved her in Rogue One. I thought she was excellent. And I'm so happy they're able to continue that on with the character, like the legacy of that early start in episode 3, where we didn't see her apart from that deleted scene. I think it's wonderful to have her there.
Yeah, just saying. I think she looks fantastic. She looks, you know, so put together in terms of like what she needs to do in her role as, you know, as a politician. I think it's great that 17 years later, you know, she can, like, Genevieve can still be part of this. That she wasn't just cast aside, being like, oh, you're only in deleted scenes, we're not going to have you be part of this. Based on what she said about the role, you know, I feel like she really understands who this character is, and, you know, looks back at what she did in episode 3 and kind of like has just, like you said, evolved that. I'm really looking forward to the costumes for her. I think it's great to. I always loved Padme's senator costume. I loved all of Padme's outfits, but to see some of like the senator costumes, and, you know, what would you wear at a Senate meeting compared to what would you wear out and whatnot. And, you know, we see another shot where she's in kind of what looks like her room or whatever, her office or whatever after, and she's wearing a really lovely different costume there. I just think it's great to see that as well, and just kind of shows the environment. Again, it's showing the environment that you're in. You know, are you at what looks like it could be like a cocktail party or something, and, you know, just having to blend in, but doing it in such a unique way. And I love that line. And I know, Dave, you said it earlier, but you know, how she's just hiding, but she's doing it in a way where she's being annoying enough that she's not drawing attention. She's just being what any normal senator would be. So I think it's just gonna be great to see her position now, and then where's the shift for her? Like, where does it get to where she's more rebel? And I guess when the Imperial Senate, you know, collapses, you know, that she then is able to do more for the rebels. But yeah, I think Mon Mothma is the character that I'm most interested to know about. the croissant thing is the thing that I'm most interested to know about, but that doesn't take away from everything else that we're seeing in this.
No, really well said of that. And I love this shot. I think it's just after. Also, someone thought this was Chancellor Valorum. It's not. It's definitely not. Just the door shutting. I love things like that because it's that perfect symmetry. And it's like the Golden Palace. You know, you've got the lights, you've got the doors. I'm really excited to see him on Mothra, and I think she's got the potential to steal the show. But I've got to cut to my boys. The return of the greatest troopers known to man, the Death Troopers. I mean, listen. You know, I think of I see Death Troopers. I think of Krennic. I'm very simple. We know they've established them as a bit more now, being not just Krennic's bodyguards, but they are Krennic's bodyguards as far as I'm concerned. So, are we going to get the Krennic cameo? Yes. If anyone's a bit curious about why it was probably happening, I'm just going to be easy. Not Secret Wars. Secret Invasion was filming at Pyramid at the exact same time as Cassian. So if they wanted to nab Ben Mendelsohn for a day, it probably wasn't all that hard to do. The same way that Daniel Craig got to cameo in Star Wars was because Bond was filming on the same day. So anyone curious about that, you know, whereas, you know, bringing in Forrest Whitaker, I think is potentially... That's a big name and I think he'll be in maybe not a few episodes, but I think when he will have a presence on, kind of jumping what we said earlier, Dave. We've seen him in so many different medias now. He's become so integral that when he was in Rogue One, it's like, look at this crackbald man. Oh, look, he was in the Clone Wars. Now it's like Saul Guerrero is like the rebel terrorist, and it's going to be really interesting. We had two tubes pop up in the background. You can see that. I don't know what it was called, but it was the white fur one that had all the merch. It was in Rogue One for like a second. You see that in the background. we might get his whole crew up here, which would be really cool. I just wanted to, because I forgot to bring that up. It kind of ends with Fiona Shaw, Harry Potter films. Things obviously haven't gone well with Vernon at this point in time. Sorry, guys, my internet is broke again. Apologies about this.
You're okay. You're okay now.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Sorry,
Yes,
I've done some great speech about Aunt Petunia. Excellent.
I know. I heard a bit of the Aunt Petunia speech, but
I mean, okay, I can tell you all this. Fiona Shaw signed some autographs for some people through the post. I'm not one of them. I'm in a Facebook group, and she'd signed them all as the Elder. And everyone's like, wait, did she just reveal her character name? So officially, she's calling herself the Elder for the series. But I've not seen Killing Eve. I know she has a very big role in that series. A lot of people have seen her in that, and I think she's a very underrated actress. And I brought up Aunt Petunia, obviously, to a generation she's known as that, but she's been I think she's like theatre trained, done theatre for decades and TV and dramas. And I think, if I'm being honest, I don't want to make a dig at the Americans again, but you know, we spoke about British crews. Half of the Americans that come into the Star Wars shows just seem to be like SNL comedians, whereas like the Britons like, here, have some actual stage actors, which I think is better, right? Is that me being harsh?
It all works to a point, but it is nice if you're going to be doing a series where you are probably going with a much heavier tone in this and not maybe so much levity in it. I think that you get these actors. She looks like she's rebelling, because that's pretty what she does. She rebels. I'm just wondering if we will get some flash of a young Jyn Erso at some point. If we've got Saw Gerrera, if he's already dumped her at this point, I guess. She said she was 16 in Rogue One when he left her, so she might have already gone. But I wonder if we'll get some mention or at least hint of her in this as well.
Yeah. No, go on, George.
First ever time we've got barriers in an Empire facility. We've not seen them. They're here, but
now this is when we go. Because I mean, it
looks like Wales, doesn't it? Not to generalize Wales, but that just looks like what you'd expect from like a Welsh mountain, doesn't it? Is that me? Is that horrible?
No, it looks like a vastly superior. It looks British, like yeah.
Look on, Dave.
I just wanted to. I know we have.
No, I was going to say it looks like, if you look at it, you look like, oh, okay, it looks like not that, but it looks, when you see the green fields, like, oh, it looks probably like somewhere in England that you're filming, and it doesn't take me out of it though.
That's That's Britain. You can just tell, can't you? As you said,
It's like
David.
it's a vastly superior 70s Doctor Who location, essentially.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, it's like, okay, we got grass in this quarry, so we're going to use it. So
Yeah, and this is the Prison Break, which I'm excited for. We know about that. That's been spoken about. And this, any fans of Batman Arkham City here? Because all I've been able to see is not Doctor Strange. Is it Hugo Strange? Yeah, it's Hugo Strange from Batman. He looks like Hugo Strange here, / the guy from Men in Black 3. But he's got 4
Wasn't
arms, and he's...
He looks familiar. Is his character in one of the sequels? Or like his species?
I don't know. But he's got 4
looks
arms. It looks
like
terrifying. Look at him.
I mean, he looks like a mix between like a version of the Toad from X-Men and also Green Goblin. There's some weird things that, I mean, I'm very intrigued about what this character is. Clearly he looks like some form of doctor, or maybe I have no idea, but yeah. I mean, people are complaining about a lack of aliens in the trailer, which, you know, I kind of get, but at the same time, this is very, character driven, and could they make some of these characters aliens, but potentially like, or less human, maybe. But I guess we just got to wait and see. I don't think you can really base that off the trailer. I mean, you're trying to just follow the main story plots there. But no, that whole trailer, there's a lot in there. And so I'm just at the point where it's like, I'm a little bit gutted that it's delayed, but clearly, it's to, just give them a bit more breathing room. And we get 3 on the same day, so
I think that's it. That normally, you see you go on Disney Plus at 8 in the morning, and it's like it's going to be watching. It's like Stranger Things Volume 2 all over again. It's like I can't justify doing that whilst I'm working. But at the same time, it's sort of I'm like, oh, I want to watch this properly because this looks like it's going to be like my jam. And yeah, as you said, 3 episodes on one day. And kind of what I said earlier, Sam, that I don't think this is a trailer where we've seen only the first 3 episodes in the trailer. I feel like we've seen a good chunk. With being 12 episodes, we might have seen 6 to 8 episodes in the trailer, but we'll never know until the airing dates. And I just think as far as a teaser trailer goes, or an official trailer, that has done, I think, everything it's needed to do. Again, I'm going to not judge off social media because it's a terrible thing to do, but I've been really... Again, people that don't like Star Wars, people that have struggled with Star Wars, seem really like switched on for this, like they're ready for this, which I think is really cool to see. Just as not just as a fan, obviously, but as that sort of background, like, okay, this is potentially gonna be a mega show. And you know what? I'll jump in. Sorry, Dave, I know I've been before you, but if this does become massive or that successful, will people at Lucasfilm be gutted that they didn't get the original 40 episodes as they intended? That's an observation. That's not I'm saying it's going to be better. I'm saying they made a mistake. That's just a very interesting question that we might be looking at in 3 or 4 months' time.
I think you can look at it where if it's really successful, that they've said they've got it plotted out for a 4-year time gap jump in the second series. I could easily see if it's been really successful that maybe it's Celebration, we get an announcement. Actually, you know what? We've got another series of Cassian in us. We've got other stories to tell. So I wouldn't count out us not getting more episodes than they've told us we're going to get.
Yeah, I think it'd be foolish to kind of put the stamp on it and go, right, okay, that this is what it's going to be, without kind of actually measuring the success of what it could be. I feel like they've got time. I feel like, if they think they can work everything into a second season, then fine. But clearly, the first season wasn't affected as much because of this shift. But as we said, to put and like 4 years across one season could be quite difficult. If they think they can do it, great. But if they think, do you know what, we'll do another season, we can split that in half between, then even better, and we get more good stuff. I mean, this could be a terrible show. We never know. I mean, absolutely awful, but obviously positive vibes here. Everything's looking good so far. I hope we get another season. It's great. It'd be great to have something where we know it's not, just limited. Like, Kenobi was limited. The Book of Boba Fett, It's pretty much limited. I don't know.
It's like the Mandoverse is its own thing, isn't it? Like it's like Marvel. It's like the Netflix Marvel shows. It's like they're all their own little incestuous little group together.
Mm.
And it's like Cassian's like fresh blood, like something new, something well, it's not new, but it's that we've not seen, a multi-season. What do you call it? A multi-season limited series. That's a terrible phrase, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of them where I think it's very exciting. And kind of jumping in of that, unless there's anything else more to say, I'm happy just to move on to not a polite outro, but kind of what we're doing. Because obviously, this has altered some plans in August. Firstly, please comment your thoughts on Andor, because again, I really enjoy hearing from people, especially again, this show has been very different. I know Rogue One's kind of split a lot. I know that every Star Wars film splits people, but I was always more surprised at people that didn't like Rogue One than they didn't like 7 or others. I'm always like, Rogue One's the one you dislike. Why? So again, I'm curious to know what your thoughts on the casting show. So just comment that. And I said, I'm going to say hit subscribe for more Star Wars. And if you want to know what we're sort of doing for this series, so similar to not Marvel, similar to Kenobi, Mando, Boba Fett, we're going to do a live spoiler discussion on every Wednesday. An episode comes out. Now, obviously, Kenobi, there's only 5 episodes across 4 weeks in the end. It wasn't, a 6-week Wednesday commitment. We're going to be committing to be doing these. However, me and Tate have had some discussions, and we might see panels spiced up a bit. You might see many, many familiar faces. I'm sure you will. But, we appreciate everyone that jumps in these videos. This is you two included, Phil, anyone that's been on our Star Wars stuff in the past or in the future, people that jumped on the top 10. It's not easy to arrange things, and I don't ever expect a 10-week commitment out of anybody to cover Star Wars. You're more than entitled to. So we will be doing spoiler discussions. I would just assume episodes 1, 2, and 3 will be a lot later because everyone's going to have to watch 3 episodes in a day before doing a video. I don't think I'll be able to get them all watched twice like I normally do, though. That being said, I might, who knows. But what we'll probably do, we'll have more announcements nearer the time. But we've even spoken about potentially videos where myself and Tate are on it. Just because this is going to be broadcasting throughout London Film Festival. And actually stretching into the World Cup, which I was very annoyed by. When they announced the extra 2 weeks today has honestly took it into the World Cup. Doesn't clash with the England games, but it clashes with a World Cup where all the kickoffs are in the evenings as well. So, as I said, there'll be more details across into September. We've also got the Rings of Power, which we're going to be doing weekly discussions on. If that needs to be changed, we'll drop that to Marvel and do it at the end. Who knows? But it's a very interesting predicament at the moment. But if you're curious about more Andor stuff, I'd say stick around. We are working on things. I don't mind saying one video. The one we've already got confirmed. We're going to be not reviewing Rogue One. We're going to be revisiting Rogue One in anticipation for Andor. And then what we're going to do in 2 years' time when Andor's done, so we say, presume it's not season 3 after all, we'll then go back to Rogue One again post Andor, kind of what we did with Kenobi. So that's in the pipeline. There are other things in the pipeline. But we're heading into a pretty insane end of the year now for the channel. As I said, we're only in August. August is a very dead month. That's why we're a bit gutted that this has been delayed further. But that's all I can kind of hint at this point in time. Again, it is very early days, and when Tate's back, we'll have some more discussions. But Star Wars isn't going away. Neither is Marvel, but we just cover it less, which is a really horrible. D23, we haven't even mentioned D23. D23, the show airs after now, and I think a lot of people spoke. They're saying, "Oh, does that mean we'll get another trailer at D23? Does that mean that D23 could have some Andor news?" There's a lot of questions. There'll be D23 discussions on the channel, but as I said, it's going to be very interesting over the coming months. But I said, potentially there might be some new hosts who might kick around, do an intro. And just keep staring at Dave for no other reason. Dave, have you ever hosted your own YouTube channel before?
I might have dipped my toe once or twice.
Yeah, exactly. Just go to the description, everyone. Sorry, though, that's just me waffling. What I'm going to say, though, I'm going to try and round out from that because there's a lot of things happening on the channel, as I've already said. I'm not going to do ums and ahs. A guarantee is that there's going to be a review coming on the channel tomorrow night. Saving Private Ryan, one of the greatest films ever made, is my initial review. That's my one-line review. But you can check out a full 2-hour review tomorrow. That is going to be up on the channel. as part of the Steven Spielberg retrospective. Every single Tuesday, there's a new review or discussion coming out on those, and that's going to take us way through into November, the same time as Andor. We're going to have so many things juggling weekly at this point in time. But as I said, if you're a fan of Steven Spielberg, that is a video to check out. Obviously, one of his most famous films. And if you want to find out about our videos, what happens, what comes up, we've got a few other ones coming out this week. I'm allowed to say there'll be a review out for Prey, the new Predator film, on Wednesday at 5 p.m. when the embargo lifts. I have not seen it yet, but it's been sat in my inbox for a couple of days waiting for me to get the time. I've heard very good things about that. And we've also got Bullet Train out this week, Nope out next week, and a few other things. So there's a lot of videos. And when we have videos to speak of, we announce them on our socials, which is Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. And again, Redbubble, you can pick up merch like the hat I'm wearing, like the top Sam's modeling for us. Very well done. But aside from that, I feel really bad. I haven't got your ats in the description. Dave, where can the people find you? On Twitter at the Dave Bryan. I already know. Sorry.
Yeah, you can find me at Twitter at the Dave Bryan. You can look at my YouTube channel if you want to. I don't see really well. There's nothing really happening over there at the moment. But that is the Life of Brian over on YouTube, and you'll generally find me here when I'm uninvited. Sometimes I just turn up.
And
he just swans in.
At Samar_1995. Remember that. I've done this so many times now.
Thank
You're up
you,
to a lot
thank
more
you,
than we
Josh.
are, though.
Because I forget what my at is, because I tend just not to say it. But yeah, Twitter is that. I will usually just share Bond things, RuPaul's Drag Race, and Star Wars mostly. But there's always other things as well. And then I also have a YouTube channel which is just Sam R, where mostly Bond things. But yeah, having a little bit of a break at the moment. But yeah, there's sometimes fun things on there that you might like. And yeah, hopefully more sit downs here to come.
Speaking of Bond, we've not officially announced it on the channel, but there are things in the pipeline for the 60th anniversary. Things that we were plotting at the start of the year, which were declined, but are now going ahead. So make of that what you will. But there are going to be a couple of videos for the 60th anniversary. One or two of them will be on the anniversary week itself. And there's also a couple of big events we're going to be attending as well. So we'll have more details nearer the time and other channels that may or may not be involved with us. But as I said, it's a mega year, and Bond 60 is something that me and Tate were really anticipating doing at the start of the year. So everybody keep an eye out for that, because we know we've got a lot of Bond fans. And again, Sam's on Radio 7 Podlot recently as well. You've been rewatching the films. I'm joining in for the Brosnan era upon my local view. This like the ultimate first world problem is that I'm at a view, not a Cineworld. So I'm going to swiftly move on from that childish word. But as I said, thank you all for watching tonight. Both of you staying on so late. As I said, it's almost midnight here in the UK now. So thank you both for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching at home, and be sure to join us on the next one. Take care.